Welcome to Southern Soul Chats, where real conversations meet faith-filled truth. This season, we're stepping into a special series called Faithfully Funded, where we talk about money through the lens of faith, trust, and relational equity. Because every dollar carries a story, and how we handle money shapes not only our finances, but our relationships and our walk with God. I'm Dr. Miranda Ferguson, and this season I'm joined by Matt Miller, author of Two Sides of Every Dollar. Together, we'll explore money not just as something to manage, but as a mirror, revealing what we value, who we trust, and how we love. So wherever you're listening from, lean in as we learn to live and give faithfully funded, one step at a time. Hey guys, welcome to Southern Soul Chats. We are so glad that you've joined us today. Now, whether you've been following along on the episodes or this is your first one, it doesn't matter because you are in for a real treat today. I am Dr. Miranda Ferguson. I am your host, and we have our co-host, Matt Miller. Now, Matt, this is like the halfway mark. We're halfway through the season. So in case anybody's just like sneaking up, jumping in, tell them who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Well, in case they were just watching, what I wasn't doing is pointing just at my middle finger. So just in case
please don't give people the middle finger.
Sure. Hopefully, if you're just joining us, you'll watch the previous episodes, and that'll make more sense.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Matt Miller. Just feel privileged to be here as a co-host. Thank you for giving me that prestigious title. I'm the co-owner of Awaken Wealth Partners, a wealth management firm here in Texas, and I have a book that I think you're maybe one of two people who have purchased it, and I appreciate that.
And it'll be in the resources.
That's right.
In the resources.
The two sides of every dollar, and we're using that to help us ping back and forth on some very important topics. And again, feel privileged to be here.
Yeah, so this season is called Faithfully Funded, and it's about relational equity. So we are looking at the two sides of the dollar, and it's a very unique perspective. So I'm glad if this is your first time that you jumped in. I'm going to encourage you to go back because I think it makes more sense. But you're definitely still going to be able to get a good takeaway from today, because today is really good. And I have a surprise for you. Are you ready? I'm
Go ahead. I'm going to do it this way.
I've been practicing.
Okay, here we go.
I've been practicing. I get nervous. I can't look at you, okay? Okay, here we go. So we've been talking about the 5 fingers that he pointed at, okay? It's the 5 U's. Here we go. We have generosity, saving, spending, debt, and taxes.
Boom. Boom, mic drop.
It's taken 5 episodes to do it. But I'm so impressed I got it today.
Well, 5 uses, 5 episodes. Nobody's counting.
There you go.
Nobody's counting.
Oh, I love it. And so we have moved through these and had some other things along the way. But you said something about this one in particular about spending. So really quick, tell us an overview about why this one here. I don't want to put my hand down. Well, their fingers down.
Sure. So
this one.
So I think spending is one of those categories where sometimes it can go off the rails. Sometimes it's critical. For example, I'll just think of example. I don't want to go without heat in the winter. I don't want to go without water.
You don't want to go without air conditioning.
Air conditioning in summer for sure. So in regards to spending, there are a lot of things that we spend money on that they're necessities. Eating.
Yeah.
But also, the two sides of every dollar. You could very symbolically use the two sides of my finger here, okay? And that is, there's the transactional needs that I have, and then there are other things that I spend money on that.
So would you say like your needs and your wants?
Sure. And you could go even further in regards to the wants, and sometimes that is where that's where we sometimes get I spent too much this year, or this year, this month, whatever it is.
This week.
Yeah.
I think you told me a while back, it's like the one you touch the most. I might got that wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong.
By percentage, it's the one that we use the most.
Right.
Most of us, in regards to the 5 U's, good job, generosity, saving, spending, debt, taxes, our spending category by percentage is where our money goes the most.
The one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we talked about in a previous episode, like the household being like a business. I mean, money comes in.
I hope that everybody gets to hear that.
I do
that
too.
was thunder.
That was loud thunder, and that's the Lord
That's
saying.
Houston, Texas. Right when you said spending.
The Lord says, we need to hear
Let us pray.
this. Yes. So here's my thoughts on spending is if money is a mirror, spending is the reflection.
Yeah, you said something that I'm glad you said because I really, really like the idea of the household operates just like a business.
Yeah.
And so if by chance somebody's joining this episode for the first time, just to reflect on that, basically the household operates just like a business.
Yeah.
The nonprofit organization, the for-profit organization, revenue comes in, it goes out, various spending needs, and then at the end of the day, the organization either provides a service or a good, and we purchase those goods
Right.
or those services. And the home is in theory operates or could operate in the exact same fashion. And my suggestion, by the way, I have an extra credit exercise for you.
Oh.
You're welcome. I think that the better picture for organizations and also the home is instead of having the bottom line being the bottom line.
Right.
I like the idea of the triple bottom line. What is it that we want to do? And so for the home, it goes back to our
Right.
values. And so therefore at the end of the day, when we're sitting around eating dinner or whatever it may be, our triple bottom line is what? Every home gets to determine
Right.
that.
Right.
So then if you look at spending then in this category, I really do like the idea of just a quick reminder that the Lord knows the desires of our heart.
Yep.
And it doesn't say that money is the problem. And I want to keep coming back to that because I think that thought has been abused. It is not the problem.
It's definitely been taken out of context.
For sure.
Definitely.
So it's not just about the needs. It is about while living life, there are things that he's totally cool with us enjoying.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, my triple bottom line is my triple bottom line, and how I'm using the income that I bring in as a single income, then that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. So it made me think about the scripture, Matthew 6:21, for where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. And we've been talking about that for all these episodes, that the two sides of every dollar is that, one side is more relational.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side is more financial, like actual dollars, coins, right? But at the end of the day, it's still the same dollar. And they go together. And this whole thing about money, which is what you just said, is that it's a heart condition. If you were spending all your money on golf, you get your paycheck, and I know this is going to be exciting for you, but if you got your paycheck and the whole paycheck went to golf because that's the thing you love the most, well, then in my eyes, looking from the outside in, I'd say, ooh, Matt, that could be like an idol. That could be like, you didn't pay your power bill this month.
Right.
You ate at the golf course every meal. Like, I think maybe you should take a better look at your 5 uses and see. But again, I'm with you. It's the difference of one word. The money is the root. The money is a root.
Well, the love of
money. Yes, the love. But the love is that, hey, I got all this money and I need more and more and more, because I know personally I can speak on this, is that anytime there was an advance in my checking account, there was also I had to check my spirit for the advance of what else can I do. It was never like, oh, I have more money to put in the kingdom of God. I have more money to do with my giving. I have more money to do with my tithing. It was more like, I've got more money to spend. Where am I going? Yeah. And I think, again, I agree completely. It is a heart posture. It's between you and the Lord. I don't think he is looking upon us frowning because you play golf or because I do whatever it is I like to do. But it's the balance. It's the two sides. There has to be a balance.
Yeah, and the same goes across multiple categories, whether it's what we take in, whether what we watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, You could pick a show that is healthy all the way around, and then just sit there and say, well, if that's all I did though was watch that on the couch, even though it's an educational show, but if I didn't get off the couch and go to work, or and didn't provide or whatever, well, that becomes an unhealthy thing.
It's a problem. You can watch Chosen all day, every day, but you still got to go to work.
Still got to go to work, right? Yeah.
You just got to pick your kids up from school. Like you still have like regular obligations to your life.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving into our first thought is like every purchase, this is kind of where I'm landing. Every purchase, everything I do with spending, no matter what it is, expresses really what I believe about God.
I wouldn't disagree with that right out of the gate, but I would just say that I think there are some transactional things that I could add that are, the first thought came to mind is insurance. I would just say that there are some things in our life that because of what we signed up for, let me just run with this, for example.
Sure.
If I signed up for a bigger home, boat, motorcycle, I'm actually speaking in my life.
Nice. All the things.
No, I'm not boasting. I'm talking about,
I love real life examples. That's what I mean.
I mean, I bought the bigger house. I bought the boat against my father's wishes, a motorcycle against, they didn't even know because they would have got me instead of the bike.
Right.
In the cars or whatever it is, I'm just speaking to my own self right now. Well, I then signed up for more insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
I then signed up for more debt, more whatever it was, right? And so, yes, to a degree, that's a heart posture.
Yes.
But I would say that we all need a vehicle. For most need a vehicle. Home, these all have costs associated with them. Upkeep is another example. Okay, those are costs associated with. I just struggle with the thought that everything is a heart posture. Some things they just have extra requirements.
They just come with the territory.
Yeah, which is important to remember because then if we get off kilter, then I could see how that is a heart posture.
It makes me think about the last episode where we were talking, or maybe the one before, where we were talking about like this bottom line number, right? So if I know, and just throwing numbers out there because I need real numbers, if I said, okay, in my household, it requires $150,000 to do all the things, right? So that's house note, car, the everything, and maybe not even a whole lot of fluff. Let's just say it's a whole year of debt, bills, the things I signed up for. And then I think, okay, those are like what you just said. Those are the basics of life. You have to eat. You know, if you have a job that provides insurance, I think that's smart stewardship to do that because everybody gets sick, everybody gets hurt. You know, and if it's, I don't know if you might have seen a hospital bill recently, but it's pretty much like a small house. So to me, that's good stewardship to do that. And again, like you, that's between you and God if he directs you in a different way. But if the threshold rises, if more income comes into the house, I think that part in between says a lot about, like, if you get extra, your bills are paid, your needs are met, you even able to do some of the wants you want, and then you get more. It's like, when is enough enough? And I guess that's what I'm thinking about, what I believe about God. Like, God's provided for my needs. I do the things I enjoy, but now he's given me more provision. What am I doing with it?
Yeah, I want to come back to that if I can, okay?
You better remember it.
Yeah, I'll try to. I'll try to. I'm going to hold this pinky out here. Just
the whole time.
The whole time. I better make it quick.
Yeah.
All I would say is that in regards to your previous example, I would ask that while we're looking at our household needs, that we make sure that we're including things that are important to our triple bottom line.
Right.
So included in the example of the $150,000, I would like to think it's the vacation for you and Jeremy, and only you and Jeremy.
Is that a thing?
It should be, and that's my point. Do
you know how many kids we have?
I'm coming to that too.
Are you going to watch them all?
No, that's 160,000.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I understand.
I'm just kidding. So it's just, I think it's very important that we're remembering that it's critical to be investing in what matters to us.
Right.
Investing in ourselves, investing in our marriage, investing in our children. So included in that example, all I would ask is that that's being included in that.
Yeah.
I think that's a need.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of households just skip over that and say, oh, we'll get to it one day. And then one day is empty nesting. And unfortunately it is over.
Yeah.
That happens. And that should have never been the thought, invest in each other. Now, I'm putting my pinky down.
Thank you. I kept thinking about taxes.
So what that was, yeah, good job. So you said in theory, so you have an income, and then say there was a bonus or there was an increase in salary made or whatever it is, and so now what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that it goes back to what are the values? What are the two things in a married home? What are the two things each values? What's the triple bottom line? How are we going to leverage this? I think that's a beautiful discussion. That's one that it should include children.
Right.
Have conversations about this. Talk about it. Hey, you don't have to talk about specifics, age-specific conversations. And decipher what mom and dad want to do and how is this going to be spent. Maybe there was a season of which mom and dad weren't investing in themselves as much as they could have been. And now maybe this is a perfect example with the babysitting. Maybe they should be investing now in themselves. Isn't that prudent?
Right.
Yes, maybe some generosity is increased in another form. But I would just encourage the conversation, the communication is critical at that juncture when something like that happens. Because the opposite is true too. If you're going to talk about one side of the dollar, you got to talk about the other side.
You got to turn the daggum thing over.
That's right. Because loss is unfortunately part of life.
Yeah.
So whether it's disability or job loss or whatever it may be, death, divorce, these things create voids. And it's, again, that's the importance of understanding why margin's important.
Right.
Savings.
So do you see, like, when you meet with people, do you see that faith, like anything with faith and generosity is always in that top level?
No.
So does it tier at all? 2 or 3?
What I've learned in the many years that I've been doing this now is what you see on the surface by percentage is not who that person truly is. And I mean that in a good way.
Right.
I mean that in a good way. You know, I have, shame on me, but I have met many of people who you just meet, you meet them and everything's good. And then they open their hearts to you and you're like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
But that's for them, not for me.
Right. I just keep going back to thinking, and which again, like you said, it's not everybody's heart posture. It's not where we're each responsible for our own decisions, right? And so I just keep going back to thinking when it comes to spending, like we have such an opportunity on this side of heaven, the kingdom that is here, the upside down kingdom, to really show through our wallets what God is asking, the journeying with God. And it does make me sad. And I can say this from an honest place, just like you. I have not always had this heart posture. I'm just straight up being honest. It's kind of new to be this much of a heart posture, but it really makes me sad to think that when people come in of faith and not faith, that some of the top tiers, maybe not, I'm not shocked about the top tier, but like maybe second, even third.
Are you talking about income?
No, like when you say each family should say, where do we want our money to go? Like, so your triple bottom line, right? So it makes me sad to think that so many families come in and that we place all these other things above generosity to other people, tithing, setting aside. I mean, like I know for the year I set aside money. I know how much that I believe how much that I'm going to start with. Now, if God changes that or advances that, then that's between He and I. But then it's not just like off the top we want to do this. We want to see how we can take this money that God's given us and help here and here and here and here. It just feels like the more I get older, the less I see people caring about other people and wanting to take what they have. It's abundance. I want to make sure I say that what they have maybe in abundance that goes to all these other areas, and that none of it filters down to help.
Well, what breaks my heart the most is just how little I think people actually value themselves. That I don't know why I'm getting emotional about it, because I think it's man, that from my life group to just life in general, or having the privilege to get to know a lot of people. I see it on the course a lot. Someone makes a poor shot and they call themselves stupid. And I'm like, bro, you're not stupid.
Yeah, just a bad swing.
I would never say this, so I won't say that. That you're not stupid.
Yeah.
You hit a poor shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Get in line, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like wait till the next hole.
You're not on television. You're not making a living doing this.
Right.
You made a poor shot.
Right.
Get over it. And just the negative self-talk. To me, that's what breaks my heart. Because I think, I just know we live in a world that now that's just promoted.
That's very promoted on the earthly side. Mm-hmm. And I think social media is just, because now you have to be Tiger Woods every time you play, because you're being put probably on social media somewhere like, a day with Matt Miller, look at this.
They're going to be highly disappointed.
Yeah, tell me if my life was lived through social media, same thing. It's crazy. It is sad the way we perceive ourselves. It's sad the way we perceive others, because if I don't perceive myself well, it's hard to perceive others well, or even wanting them to be well.
And it's hard to be generous if you
right.
Every time you look in the mirror, you don't want to see yourself or whatever it is. And I think that's why I said I think my thought is running the same direction. Mm-hmm. A lot of angst is derived from comparison or identity.
Yeah.
And I want to keep up with the household next door, so I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, because I think they're the mold. They're the one.
Yeah.
Who chose that?
Yeah.
If we're truly looking at ourselves in the mirror, we're all striving to be someone we're not. And what I would like to encourage all of us is to, if you were to get there, are you going to truly be happy?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the current version of yourself?
Yeah.
We often run into, I shouldn't say often, but we will run into some who come into a lot of money, and then they start realizing how costly it is to have a lot of money.
What do you mean by costly?
Well, the more that you have, the more that you have people around you.
That's what I thought you meant.
Your attorneys,
so you find
your CPAs.
New friends?
No, I'm talking about people who cost money.
Right. That's what I meant, like friends that cost you money, new acquaintances.
Well, that's a totally different thing. I'm talking about now there's this need, this bigger need, and now you have this attorney that is always on, the CPA. You have folks like us. It costs money, and they're like, whoa, well, yeah,
right.
I mean.
You gotta do things with it, and you can't do it because you're not a lawyer and you're not a banker.
That's right.
Like you have to get guidance, and nothing is free.
That's right.
Nothing except for the love of Jesus.
That's it.
Nothing
and
is
even
free.
Even that comes at a cross.
It came at a big cost. But it came at a cross too.
That's right, yeah.
So you say that spending reveals whether we're driven by impulse, identity, or intention.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is. Raise your hand if you haven't had buyer's remorse.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
We've all had.
Check.
I have, for sure. I've walked into the grocery store hungry. I've walked into but I won't mention that sporting goods place. But there was a time in my life when I had to leave my wallet in my truck because if I walked into this one, I'm sure Jeremy knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I know where he can't go with a wallet.
I can't go into it, and I like that Texas-based sporting goods store.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So anyway, yeah, it's impulse.
So I think impulse and identity would probably be the two that I dealt with the most years of my life. And I would say that those two finally are curbed back. They're still there. There's times, like you said, I'll go to H-E-B to buy a particular thing, but I didn't eat lunch, and I walk out with 14 glazed croissant rolls later that I did not mean to buy because it was just impulse. I was hungry or my mood or whatever. But intention, it goes back for me about spending with intention now. I'm intentionally looking at my finances and intentionally going, okay, this, and this. Like, this is where I want to go. But it took me a long time to get there.
I liken it to the athletes in today's world that are now compensated. And I tell my friends, whatever it may be, if you would have given me that much money, first of all, it wasn't worth being paid for any of my athleticism.
Me either.
But if I was a talented athlete and you were to give me that much money at that age, I'd have been in trouble.
Oh, I'd have been in major trouble.
My dad, my mother, oh boy, I can only hear my mother right now. First of all, it would have been my full first name, my middle name, and then my last name. And there was no pause.
Yeah, it went really fast.
Oh my goodness. And then you knew you were in trouble. I couldn't have dealt with that.
Yeah.
I couldn't have dealt with that.
It would have been extremely overwhelming because I know for me, in my younger years, so let's say late teens into 20s, even early 30s, I really did think that I knew everything. In my 20s, I thought, this is it. This is what life is about. This is all of it. And these decisions I'm making,
simple. What is everybody struggling
And I look back
with?
at my 20s now and I'm like, train wreck.
You know, it's so funny you said that. I literally sat in this building and I was younger and I literally thought to myself, why do we only talk about bad stuff? I was younger. Why do we keep talking about all this bad stuff? And now I'm like,
you get it now?
Now that deserves your so stupid comment right there. Anyway, no, it doesn't deserve that. But
so here's a tie-in to what you wrote that I liked. I did a lot of other reading too to go along with this. And Cortines and Balmer wrote a book called God and Money. It's a really good book. And it talks about how we spend reflects whether we're maximizing value for today, the future, or eternity, which closely aligns with impulse, identity, and intention patterns that you talk about. And I will tell you why that stood out to me was because, again, today and the future, I think everybody thinks about today because you check your checking account to see, like, if I got to do something, do I have the money for today? Or we plan with guys like you guys for the future. But once again, just like that intention, I've never thought about planning for eternity, sending my money, investing or doing something for somebody that invests in the future when God returns and we're living on the other side. You know, I think that whole scripture that talks about treasures in heaven. A lot of people get caught up in this earthly sense of being like, when we get to heaven, we're going to have all these treasures, we're going to be rich. And through this study, and it was already happening a little bit before, but I really started understanding that, and I think I knew, but, you know, it's always good to remind yourself, is that treasures are not always monetary. And which is what we've been talking about. Just like debt's not always monetary and spending is not, that I never really thought to plan for eternity. And that's in my time, resources, finances.
So I love worship music.
Oh, I love too.
Well, you spoke of that. You took the 30-day challenge or what it was.
I hadn't stopped yet. It's been years.
And that's the primary music choice for my devices too. But I love standing in corporate worship with just a fantastic. The worship here is fantastic. I've always enjoyed worship here.
Mm-hmm.
My parents' church, still big choir.
Oh, I love a good choir. They wear robes?
Oh, yeah.
Still robes?
Yeah.
Gotta have the robes, man.
And it's just angelic.
Yeah.
And every year their Christmas pageant is just beautiful. It's still got the bells and just the...
majestic.
Yeah, it's majestic. Where I'm going with that is you speak of treasure, and it's sometimes or oftentimes monetary. But can you put a value on how you feel when you're just standing there
No.
naked to the world worshiping?
No. Hands
up, again, cry. I'm a sweaty eyeball guy. I stole that term from a buddy of mine. It's invaluable.
Yeah.
How you feel.
Yeah, and you can't. There's not a value at all. Yeah, I loved. So along with their point that aligns with yours, they made a quote. There was a quote that said this, like in the sense of giving or spending eternity, today, tomorrow. It said these gentlemen that wrote the book, we had to stop asking ourselves, how much should I give, and start asking, how much do I need to keep? The keeping to cover the threshold, and then everything past that be more of investing into the kingdom or into people. And it really, the whole keep versus let go, just that one little switch of a way to think differently, it really, it stood out to me a lot.
Yeah, and in our world, sometimes that's referred to as what's your number.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a question that is hard to answer if you've never looked at it, and it's a good aiming point. And it makes perfect sense. There are a lot of different ways to look at that, because that goes back to something else I write about. It's the things that we quantify and the things that we qualify.
Right.
Quality of life, and it's pretty common for us to want to count things. We count. You name it.
Everything. We count everything.
So what makes that difficult, though, is that's in the future.
Yeah.
It's the present, and how that then parlays into the future is difficult for a lot of people. There are some that can do that on their own. I still encourage them to have a team to make sure that everything's getting checks and balances are in place. But yeah, that we call that to have a number.
Yeah. So for me, it's, where does my spending now point? Does it point to myself? Does it point to that image? Is there an image I'm trying to put out there, look a certain way? Or is it pointing to God? And my hope for my family and our budget and going forward in the years to come is that if anyone was to happen to jump into our bank account or look into our life with, this magnifying glass, that they would see that we're pointing to God. Now, clearly, again, we have bills, we have mortgages, we have insurance, all those things. But that you say, what's the number? That over the number, that we're pointing to God. And that we're not being so impulsive anymore, that we've grown more mature in our faith, and that we're not so much trying to keep up with the Joneses or the Kardashians, right? But that we're just generously trying to advance the kingdom of God, because we're here. That is the purpose of being here, is to bring more brothers and sisters into the kingdom of God. And I think that money just gets us all tied up, and we lose some of that perspective.
Sure.
Now don't kill me out there. It's just my But here's what I think, though. I think that here we are in 2026. You said something a few episodes back that I agree with. I don't get into this whole if you made New Year's resolution stuff, because if you weren't doing it, you're not fixing to start because you made a resolution. And I believe you said that, and I was like, yep, I believe that. And for all of you out there who do make resolutions, I'm not getting on your case. If it works for you, great. It just never has worked for me. I still haven't made it to the gym. And that was 2025's I want to do. But 2025 happened, and the gym was not a part of the equation. So I'm just thinking, like, in this year, instead of setting a resolution per se, maybe it's instead of cleaning out our closets, maybe we start to clean out like our money closet. Maybe we try to think of healthier ways to look at our money and even go back to this crazy book called the Bible and look biblically on how to handle money. And if I've ever understood the concept of upside down kingdom, it has been since starting this with you, that I even told my husband, I feel like if the world tells me to do something, I should automatically take the cue to do the opposite. And I mean in other, not normal. You need to pay your taxes. Oh, do the opposite. No, you'll end up in a lot of trouble for that one. Sure. But I just mean the other things, like keep getting bigger houses. Keep buying. You need 12 boats, not one boat. So, we need 8,000 fishing rods. Well, not 800.
Be careful. Now you're stepping on your husband's toes.
I know he'll get me. Don't worry.
But here's my father and I were not very close, but I knew he's deceased. But I knew he loved me. He never said it, with the exception of when he was dying. And we had that nice moment. But all he knew was to try to give me things, right, and buy things for me, because that's how he felt. He could express how he was
showing. She was showing. Yes.
And we know that money cannot, whether it's the song or a movie or whatever it is, we know that money cannot buy us love. So I asked the question, if we know that as adults, then why do we think bigger houses or newer cars or whatever it may be are going to do that? It's just a different form of.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying if that's where the heart posture is, hey, if I have another or a newer, we know money doesn't buy us love.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It can have a false sense of security. I get that too.
Yeah, but the thing is after you buy and buy, but you're still buying, so you've already figured out that, like that, you know how when you buy something new and it feels fulfilling, mm-hmm. like you get it and you're just like, oh, this was great. But sure. Then you get home and the feeling's already gone.
Well, it's just like the athlete who wins the highest prize, and sometimes they look back and they say, wow, I did it, but I don't know if it was worth all that it cost me. I mean, there are many of athletes who the highest of their sport, and they look back and I'm not saying it wasn't rewarding. I'm definitely not that athlete who's won anything at the highest prize, right. But that happens.
Everything comes at a cost.
Mm-hmm. For those of us who believe that our Heavenly Father is a provider of all things for us, I love the thought of these clouds that are producing rain.
Y'all, it is storming today.
So but check this out, and I don't think it's metaphorically. If we believe that the storehouses exist, and here it is rain, and it's going to rain, and it's going to nourish the area with water, and we're going to then fill the aquifers and all those things, and that happens, right? And then tomorrow, I don't know if you've looked at the weather.
I haven't looked past today.
It's a pretty good week ahead, okay? But I think that's a great reminder of the storehouses, even though we may not see them. I'm talking about the form of a cloud.
Yeah.
We know what rain is going to come, and so therefore it's a form of nourishment.
Yeah.
And I just like the idea of you believe in His promises, and you can see those things come to fruition. So it's just a thought that came to mind while we were praying that I wanted to share.
Yeah, I love that. So let me ask you this. What patterns do you see that let someone know their spending is no longer healthy? Like if we're talking about healthy spending, which is having that, what's your number? What are your tiers?
Well, let's start over here. Let's start all the way at the beginning. Let's go way upstream.
Okay.
No vision into what it is that you want to do. There's no discussion of these.
You just got money and throwing it to the wind.
Us when we were younger.
Oh, that person.
That one. Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
it's not a stable environment.
Right.
So we could start there. And then if we travel downstream some, I think again, whatever their values are, you can sense it.
Right.
We're capable people. We can sense that we're out of alignment. I love the visual or the car.
You hear the thunder.
Yeah.
You're talking about we're out of alignment, and it's like we're Lord, like, yes, you're out of alignment.
So if you look at a wheel, and there's a reason why they put a weight on that, and it's to keep the wheel
right.
So when you're driving down the road, it's not the boom, 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 right?
Not shaking to death.
Right, exactly. And I think we can all, in theory or metaphorically, we've been to the point where we're like, something's out of alignment.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And but again, this is why I like talking about the two sides of every dollar. It's not just money; it's sleep, it's work, it's exercise, it's whatever it is. We know when we're out of alignment.
Yeah.
So keep traveling. I think beyond that, I like the intentionality. I actually like being intentional. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that easy conversation, say that someone's been in a same season, and I'm not talking about a bad one, but say they've been in the same season for a number of years. Well, maybe that's a good time to check things out.
Right.
Look at it.
Yeah, so when I looked back thinking about my own spending, being younger, again, like I said, it's pretty questionable when I was younger. I thought about what did signs of unhealthy spending look like, 20s, 30s up to today. And I thought about spending for comfort. And then I thought about what does the Bible say? Psalm 23, God is our comfort, not things. Then I thought about spending to cope. There's a lot of people in this season that I know in life who are just feeling like they're coping, just trying to get to the next day. And I thought about Hebrews 12, 1 through 2, run with endurance. Don't let the debt, don't let the habits, don't let the old ways of thinking, like you're talking about, that what I like to call in the world of psychology a negative mindset. Don't let that take away. And then it just always comes back, spending to impress. Galatians 1:10, please God, not people. Like, I feel like God is not looking down at people who own 52 cars going like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Hey, Gabriel, did you see that? I feel like he's like, okay, all right. And he'll deal with them. Like you said, that's their business. But, spending does tell you a lot. Like, if you opened your checkbook today, it's not going to be extra credit, I promise. But if you opened your checkbook today and you took a tally of the whole month, I think people would be surprised at where their money went. Because you know how easy it is to swipe a debit card? Back when I was growing up, you had to learn how to balance a checkbook. I know, guys, I'm old. But you had to literally log your purchases in, where you did it, so that you could keep up with your financial records. Well, now we have this debit card, so it's easy to just swipe. But I think people would be amazed if they really took a look over the last month, 2 months, 3 months, and saw their spending habits. Where does your money go? And what does it add up to? I'll never forget this. In a therapy session years and years and years ago, I had a client, and they were fighting about money in their marriage. One of the many things they were fighting about. And so we just wanted to do a homework assignment or extra credit. You know how you like to call it extra credit. That we would go home and just look. Let's just look, because if we can deal with facts, or we can deal with you two bickering back and forth. And so they came back, and as a couple together realized that one of the two of them worked outside the home, and that they didn't realize they were spending over $500 a month in eating lunch with occasional coffees. And they came back and they were just like, we didn't know. They had no clue. Because it was just going to lunch today, going with the coworkers, and they were actually able to have a healthy conversation because neither one of them agreed that $500 was a good place to spend on top of groceries when they had food, maybe occasionally, there's nothing wrong with that, but that they could do other things with it in some of the other areas they were bickering and struggling with. And so it's that that moment in that room with them really stuck with me for years because I thought, I need to keep a good watch over what God stewarded to me. I need to know, where's my money going? I need to do a check. How much am I spending here? How much am I spending there? How does that make me feel? Because if you go to your checkbook and you look and you spend $500 on lunches in a month and you feel okay about that, then I say good for you. But if I look at it and I go, I feel convicted, that's not good stewardship for me and what God's asking of me, then I need to go wrestle with that and deal with that.
With the intentional, if you go back to the generosity and the savings and the debt and the taxes are often almost baked in.
Yeah.
I mean, they are what they are.
Yeah.
But I just want to remind people that, because something you said earlier, I think is where a lot of judgmental thoughts come from. And I get it. But I think when we're intentional about how we're focusing on these things, what I do want to remind people is when it comes to this spending category, when these are all set up and they're
in balance.
Yeah. Spend it.
Yeah.
That's not the issue.
Yeah.
It's when
my couple was not in balance in anything.
But see, the beauty of that is that there was restoration in conversation and communication.
Yes.
And because you are a professional, you help them as a mediator talk to each other and help them understand that it's not one or the other. It's fighting for that relationship.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of having somebody to help mediate for us and talk through those things. And anyway, I just want to help everyone remember that when we're intentional with how we're looking at these things,
right.
At the end of the day, let's use a figure of say, let's just say $5,000. Okay, we'll keep the math simple.
Good.
All right. So $5,000, and if they're saving if their generosity is at 10%, okay,
right.
Say their saving is at 10%, and they know their taxes, and they know their debt, and let's assume just no credit card at the moment. Okay. They know their mortgage, and they know their credit or their car, And if that's all in sync and it's visible and everybody's understanding of that, then what is left to spend is spent.
Right. It's gone.
It's earmarked, but it's earmarked for
right.
that. That's the purpose of it.
Right.
Some of it transactional, some of it wants, some of it needs, some of it investing in the family, et cetera. I'm trying to protect somebody who's going to listen to this at some point, is I guess what I'm trying to do. It's not that you're spending money.
Right.
That's not the problem.
Yeah, no.
It's being out of balance with it.
Yeah.
And what I want somebody to understand is why we are out of balance is super important to understand.
Yeah, extremely.
If we're out of balance because we feel that we're not valuable to society, if we're out of balance because of something that should be addressed, whatever it is, then please, by all means, address that.
Yeah, have those conversations.
Have those conversations with whoever it may be, as difficult as it may be.
Yeah, definitely.
Because as that comes back to being in balance, then life can be healthy.
Yeah.
And somebody needs to hear that.
Oh, that was good. Okay, so as we wrap up, what I'm hearing you say is freedom comes from being in alignment.
For the believer, I would say absolutely, yeah.
And that's on both sides of your dollar.
On both sides of every dollar, yes.
And that accumulation does not equal healthiness. That's kind of what I'm thinking in my head, is that the more I have does not point to being more healthy and more well-rounded, or more doing for the kingdom. I need to check, and again, I'm using I statements here, like my accumulation, I need to check that alignment and make sure all of the different areas all the different uses are being properly attended to.
Yeah, because accumulation can come in different forms. You can accumulate debt.
Yep.
Or you can accumulate relational equity.
Yep.
And I would prefer that we're Well, the way we derive that, of course, is that's a valid term, relational equity. We want all these relationships that we value to grow in value.
Right.
And this
and I want to grow
conversation,
myself in value.
well, that's yeah. Well,
Like you just said, I want to see
Yeah.
growth also in myself and in other relationships and other areas.
you have to be healthy in order for the other relationships that you're in to be healthy.
Well, you don't plant a new pot. You don't plant a new plant in a pot that has a disease plant in it and expect it to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is disease spreads faster than growth, and it will kill the plant immediately. Don't ask how I know that.
Well, I think about our friend who's currently somewhere on the other side of or not on the other side of the planet, but he's traveling abroad right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, did they not have to prepare for that? Did they not have to save for that? Did they not have to talk about what they're going to do for a year?
I sure hope they did.
Yeah, I mean, some spontaneity, I hope, because that's fun too.
Yeah.
Depending upon the person, but it's the fervor of which we want to do these things. You can be intentional, and it brings a ton of health. It just brings a ton of health.
Okay, so here's my question for wrapping up. If Matt Miller had someone approach them and say, what is one simple step that you would recommend about transforming my spending today? What would it be?
Have a truthful conversation with yourself.
You may need to bring somebody else in too.
Yeah, and somebody that you can trust. I think that the more those that are married, the more in blended families, those
Yes.
can be difficult, as we've talked
Absolutely.
about. But having an honest conversation in a neutral environment and understanding what's important, because we're different people.
Yeah.
You're just different people. I don't agree with myself 100% of the time. I'm surely not going to agree with anybody
same here.
else.
I feel you. Same
And
here.
so I think that's the beauty of it is having an honest conversation and being able to say, hey, look, I messed up. Or maybe even sharing things that aren't known, which is difficult.
Yeah.
And that can go both ways. That could go, the one spouse could be saying, hey, I intentionally have not spent the $500 a month.
Right.
Because I knew that was going to be an issue for us.
Right.
So I've shut that down. I'm still spending $300,
Yep.
whatever it is, but
Right.
that's obviously a big savings. Just having that.
Yeah. It's so important. It is so important.
It's the linchpin to success in all relationships.
Yeah.
Healthy communication.
Yeah. I feel like spending is like the loudest sermon our finances can preach. And so to follow that statement, here comes extra credit. Now, you said you had some, so I'm going to let you share yours first.
Okay.
Here's Matt's extra credit for you this week. Go.
Was it for them or you? I was going to give
Give it to
you.
all of us.
Okay.
Let's all do it. I love a challenge.
I would love for you to intentionally determine what your triple bottom line is.
Oh,
I would love for you to sit down. So this is you and Jeremy conversation.
Yeah.
And I love the visual. The book provides a visual of the P&L, the family P&L.
I got it.
You got the values at the top, and then all these things and how the money's going out, and then what's the triple bottom line. I keep going back to the business. Just real quick, and I know we're at the end of the episode, but I want to talk about this. If you look at the organization, and the organization has the C-suite, so CEO, CFO, COO, et cetera, and that revenue that comes in, when that revenue isn't spent or used appropriately, those people are let go.
right. Yep.
Okay? And I like talking about the nonprofit world even more because they're doing it for someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or something else, and cats, dogs, etc. And so they're doing it for someone who is in need or something that's in need.
Yeah.
And so the money, it's even more prudent. I'm not saying that you can do.
No,
do
I
it
understand what you mean.
and more scrutinized.
It is very scrutinized.
In the nonprofit world, as it should be.
Yeah.
As it should be. But I'm going to also come to you now. You lead a nonprofit organization, and you deserve to be paid because you bring value. And my point in that is this, is that when that income is coming in, because the business is revenue, the home is income, when these incomes are coming into the home and they're being filtered through the things that y'all value most.
Right.
In case somebody didn't pick up on that. 2 and 2 is 4. There might be an overlap, so 3, or there might be some overlap. So 2 people value the 2 things the same. And then it goes down to the triple bottom line. It's easier to visualize. Is our spending in line with our triple bottom line, or is it not?
Yeah.
And as you're able to converse about that, that's when you can say, hey, let's make a change this next month. Let's go from 500, not New Year's resolution goals.
Yeah,
let's not go from 500 to 100.
Yeah.
That's irrational.
Yeah.
Let's go to 500 to 400.
Right.
Let's make that, and then let's invest that $100 in our family this next month.
Yeah. That's good.
That will change tides.
Your extra credit's better than mine.
That's the triple bottom line.
Listen, mine was really simple. And
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think it lines up. I'm saying, you know what? You need to have these conversations, and I believe you need to track your spending for 3 days. I think you should. I think you should look at it as a couple, look at it as a single person.
Include one of the days of the weekend.
Yes. Because that's when movie theaters happen and Top Golf happens.
Don't do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
Because you're going to just shell shock people. My goodness.
No, he's right.
You said easy.
And then, I wasn't thinking the weekend. I was thinking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's what I was thinking. But okay, they can pick their own 3 days because everybody's life's different. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I would say have an intentional prayer that says, Lord, align my desires with your will. I think that's huge because the desires of our heart is what fuels some of our spending. I know that for a fact. Don't ask me how.
You can ask me.
And then make one intentional spending choice this week, which is what you just kind of said. You was like, take that money between these 2 numbers and invest it in your family, or let's say there is a nonprofit you want to give to, or let's say you want to, a family in need this year, throughout the year, and that money is intentionally going to go that way. They sounded easy. Maybe they're not.
Well, they're healthy, no doubt.
All right. Well, they got some choices at least.
Right. You do both.
I like it. It's a lot of extra credit this week. Do both. Okay, guys, as always, we want to keep the conversation going. If you are taking any of these extra credits, these exercises, and you're applying them, or you're thinking through them, or maybe you're not sure, you have a question about it, find us on social media and reach out. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know what's working. Let us know what God's revealing in your heart. I think it's huge to share that with people so that they are encouraged and that they will have the faith to step into some of our extracurricular assignments that we're giving. And as always, I cannot forget to tell you this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you know someone who maybe is dealing with just relational equity or money in general. What a great way to have this conversation, because it's not so much of like, open your wallet and throw it out. It's more like, let's look at this from both sides of the dollar. Yeah. And I think it's great. I love it. You got anything else?
No, I'm glad I'm here. I'm
glad you're here too. And we are super glad that you are with us today. So we will see you on our next episode of Southern Soul Chats. So see you later. Bye, y'all.